People who have partners that sleep talk. What all have you heard?
Story 1. We recently had a baby, and in the first couple weeks my husband got really into Stardew Valley, which helped him stay awake to hold the baby since he wouldn't yet sleep in the bassinet. One night during my shift, the baby was crying, and my husband turned to me, still asleep, and said, "Do you need help? I can till the soil and water the plants." Story 2. My partner talks in his sleep. The two things that stick out for me are, "Oh, for fuck's sake, Andy," full volume, and really angry Andy as his brother. They no longer speak. Where's PJ? We have to save PJ. PJ is a really good friend of ours. To this day, my partner and I have no idea what he was dreaming about, but PJ was relieved to know that in a moment of crisis, someone was coming to save him. Story 3. I have been unknowingly waiting for this post. His sleep talking brings me endless amusement, so I've been keeping a journal of them. This is just scratching the surface. Don't misjudge your clouded misguidance of your tea time with my majestic holiness. Your moths are fighting over the fruity tots of Taiwan. You smell like butter chicken fly balls. You need to deactivate these things in the presence of unsolicited light bulbs. We shall rope your grossness, your Galabean contosis. Now you're talking the right, chipmunk. You're walking deep in celery juice. Your dandruff is coating the inside of my butthole. Story 4. My husband sleep talks. The other morning he shot up and loudly yelled, "Fuck you, Johnny Appleseed!" and then laid back down. He's a chef, so most of his sleep rumblings have to do with food. At least once a month, he wakes me up asking me if I prepped various food items. The best was the one morning I was giving him a kiss goodbye before going to work, and he said I couldn't leave before I clocked out. Story 5. I'm the sleep talker, and one that always cracks me and my wife up is we have 2 cats, and I was having a dream that one was pregnant, and apparently in the dream, I was very stressed about it. My wife said I shot up, so I was sitting in bed and yelled, "Oh my God!" And my wife, being the light sleeper that she is, woke up scared, asking, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" To which I replied, "There's gonna be a load of cats in this house." I then laid back down and went to sleep, leaving my wife utterly baffled. Story 6. I'm the sleep talker, not my partner, but according to him, I once sat up out of a dead sleep and asked him, "Did you get the right kind of glass?" He was like, "The right kind of glass for what?" And I impatiently replied, "The right kind of glass for the dragons," before lying back down and immediately falling back asleep. He told me about this the next morning completely mystified, but even though I couldn't remember any of this, I immediately knew that I had meant flame-resistant glass. Story 7. Oh boy, my time to shine. So my husband sleep talks a lot. In fact, our first date, he made this disgusted face and said, "Fucking Jello." Yes, I put out on the first date. He was supposed to be a one-night stand, but he never left. Some memorable ones are, they are gonna beat the Chicago Bears. They've got machine guns, but the Bears have chainsaw hands. Discount Spooderman? This is a worm! While aggressively shaking my dog's limp paw. And most recently, we are hiding behind a car and Bigfoot keeps throwing rocks at us. He ran away. Bigfoot is a little coward-ass bitch. He often likes to talk about gardening in his sleep, too, but it never makes sense. We gotta go to the Potato Man. The quality is out of this dirt. Story 8. I have so many stories for this one. Creepiest one, sits bolt right up in bed, turns to me and says, "Don't worry, I won't murder you." Lays back down and continues snoring. Funniest one, woke up to him creeping around the room making clicking noises. He was a hunting guide at the time. Woke himself up when he saw himself in the mirror. Runner-up, woke me up as he was trying to pull a bag down from the closet. I asked what he was doing. He said, "I'm going fishing." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you told me to." Had to gently guide him back to bed after he tried to leave with a random empty bag. Most random, he frequently talks about selling tires in Spanish. He runs a tire shop now and does speak Spanish, but I don't, so no idea what he says. He talks in his sleep all the time, so I have lots. This is why he often ends up sleeping in our guest room. But sometimes he will be talking so loud I can still hear him. Story 9. My mom talks in her sleep a lot. She used to work as a senior VP for big company, and at 1 a.m. alarms started going off in one of the buildings, and they called our house to help shut them off. I took the phone up to her and she says to the guy, No, don't worry it. That's just the alarm for menopause medication." Pretty hilarious. I'm sure the guy on the other end was equally confused. I also answered the phone once in my sleep, after pulling an all-nighter and told my family I was in NYC. I wasn't, but I travel there a lot. Weird experience. I have zero memory of it. Story 10. Late 2010 had been living with him just a few months. He sat up, still dead asleep, said, "Donald Trump plates," and laid back down. Few nights later does the same thing, bolt upright in bed, says stupid dirt, and lays back down. So weird. We've been sleeping in separate room for a few years now, 'cause he graduated from saying weird things to outright sleep screaming, and I couldn't take it anymore, Lowell. Story 11. My mom one time had taken a sleeping pill, and in the morning she got up and went to the bathroom like usual. She was taking a while, and my dad got worried, so he went in. There she was snoring on the toilet, so my dad asks her, "What are you doing?" She replied, "I'm nailing the ducks to the roof, then I'm going to chase down the stripling warriors." He died laughing. I do talk in my sleep sometimes, but I moan more in my sleep rather than talk. When we visited cousins and I would be sleeping in her room on the floor, I would moan, and like they are, full on, you would think I was having a great dream. She informed me in the morning that things got weird. My husband also learned quickly that I moan in my sleep. It's less awkward for him. Story 12. This is the best one. I memorized it. Out of nowhere, in a scary exorcist voice, he goes, "You know what's out there. They're velociraptors. You may remember them from Jurassic Park. They are big, they are mean, and they are generally a pain in the ass. I'm going to throw the kielbasa while you run. Try to get to the shore. Ready? Now go." Then one night, apropos of nothing, he yells, "Exhibition game!" He often dreams he is coaching people from high school, even though he has never coached in real life. Story 13. Oh boy. My wife comes out with these one-liners deep in the middle of her sleep. I started keeping track because I was forgetting so many gems that she came up with. These are the best ones I have, and the chicken one and the baby animal one are my favorite. "Sorry about your bracelets, but you're too cool to wear them the first day." I don't know, I feel weird about asking where the stickers are. "Did you like your chicken? What's wrong with the radio?" Me, "Jonah's? Didn't you say you had to go fix it?" Make sure they're Prantaclaws. "You're Clorny? Chickens sigh have beaks. 2 yen for you." "I have to pick out a stone." "From where?" Points to Teddy. "If you had to pick baby monkey or baby 5, any other type of animals." "What about my soup?" "You talk to the zoo?" "You're Squidward me? Because of my nose?" "No, because of your squids." "How much did you pay for the shelves? The ones you got, with the butterflies all over them. How much did you pay?" "I'm a thirsty little bitch." Me, "You're a 30 little bitch? Don't say that." This one is blue. Story 14. No specific examples, but my wife will sometimes ask some weird random question. If I don't respond, she'll get grumpy and ask again. At this point, I have to come up with some response. Usually I have no clue what the fuck she's on about, so I'll say something like, "Oh, I'm not sure, sweetheart, but I'm sure it'll be okay." Then she'll usually harumph at such an unsatisfactory answer and settle down. I sometimes try a more specific response if I think I can work out what she means, but this rarely goes well as it leads to a conversation I can't make sense of, and I say something that pisses her off, all this while she's asleep. Story 15. Not the partner, but the talker. I react to my dreams when the muscle memory kind of stuff kicks in. That could be like fighting back an attacker or catching something or jumping out of the way of something in my dream. The same thing is with verbals. The words and phrases I use are more instinctual than a proper conversation. Having learned this, I can now ask for my wife to wake me up from a nightmare, which is pretty neat. I lucid dream a lot, so having an out on my terms is very empowering. When shot goes too sideways, I just scream for help in my dream and she hears something. Story 16. I don't have a partner, but I occasionally sleep talk. Apparently also sleep move, which is new and a bit alarming. I'm traveling ATM and staying in hostels. For those who don't know, if anyone, hostels are where you pay for a bed in a shared room, not an individual room. When this story happened, 3 other people were in the room. I had this nightmare recently in which some guy was chasing after me trying to squish me with this giant flat thing. I woke up from it when he caught up to me and killed me. When I came to, I was bolted up in my bed and had scooted over to stare out the window. I have no idea why. I had this vague idea I might have said something out loud, but hoped it went unnoticed and went back to sleep. The next day, one of my roommates asked if I spoke in my sleep. Embarrassed, I asked him what I had said. He goes, "You scared the shit out of me. I wake up to see this girl staring out the window going, 'Someone stop him! He's coming! He's coming!'" To say I was mortified was an understatement. Story 17. I write them down when they happen, so I'll make a thread. "Honey, if you see this," hi from my throwaway account. 3:30 a.m., husband laying on his back. Butts everywhere. I knew it! Asterisk pause, then holds his hands up in front of him with palms facing him and shakes like Italian. Turns left 30 degrees and does another Italian hand gesture shake. Sits up for a sec, then lays down and rolls over onto left side. Story 18. My husband once yelled, "Police!" at the top of his lungs in the middle of the night. Scared the shit out of me. When our daughter was born, we were trying to sleep in the hospital when the baby started crying. I couldn't get out of bed to get her, so I asked my husband to bring her to me. He answered in his sleep, "Not now. I'm tired." I said, "Oh, you're tired. I just gave birth," and threw a pillow at him. He claims to not remember this. Story 19. Had a girlfriend who wasn't a sleep talker, but one night she sat straight up in bed with her eyes wide open and said, "Do you see that?" while pointing to the corner of the room. I asked, "See what?" And she just replied, "That," in a scared voice. Then she closed her eyes and laid back down. Needless to say, I didn't get a good night's sleep. Story 20. He normally starts off with gibberish, then states a perfectly clear sentence. I like to engage with his midnight mumbles and try to get more out of him sometimes. Usually by the end, his talking reverts back to gibberish and half sentences. Here's an example. Him. Some garbled sentence. Me. What? Him. Think about the townsfolk. Me. The townsfolk? Him, yeah. Me. What about them? Him. Thrown from up high. Hits them in the head. It doesn't feel too good. Story 21. He doesn't really sleep talk. More like muttering, but that's rare. But one day while he was sleeping, he suddenly said something about falling asleep. I didn't quite catch it, so I was like, And he repeated it, but it was only slightly better than the last. I was already internally laughing when he suddenly, clearly told me, "Of course Bulbasaurs aren't real," and then followed it up with how he wasn't even looking at Twitter, where he apparently saw a video of a real Bulbasaur. Apparently, when he was mumbling about falling asleep, he was apologizing for constantly falling asleep. He thought he was dropping off mid-sentence. We laugh about that incident, but he insists he wasn't sleep-talking. TBH, I'm the sleep talker. I know I've randomly blurted out shit and I'd wake up when it's obvious we were never conversing. Worst I've done, though, was send a text message. He had been texting me and I was replying, but I was sleepy AF and I'd wake up and reply. At some point I woke up and replied and he was like, "Who are you talking about?" Apparently I dreamed up half the conversation at that point and sent a real reply. Story 22. I will never forget my partner, early in our relationship, was staying over. He has the incredible ability to fall asleep instantly on demand. We go to bed, he falls asleep, and I'm still awake for Abbott. I notice he's groaning a little like he's in pain, but he's asleep, and not responding to me asking if he's okay. Then he sits up a bit, holds his hand out in front of him, and with the most stern, deadpan voice says, "You fucking nerd," to his hand, then immediately lays down and resumes snoring. Zero recollection the next day. 6 years later, and we still quote it to each other from time to time. Story 23. I actually keep an ongoing list of things he says while sleep talking. It's great. I parboil pig. The stars are cooking. Shut the clam! Captain Afro Puff. We eat in deals. We eat cupcake deals. You are special pig. Butler. Need a butler? No more evil towns. I'm fighting Julius. Julius Caesar. We need the sunset feature. Yano. The turf. The wide business. Beady eye. Demon has beady eyes. 10 bear in height. Tibet. Pig Malone. Evil Post Malone. The tongues are one for sure. I'm giving and receiving ice cream time. Story 24. When I was a teenager, I walked into my mom's room to grab something, piece of clothing I was borrowing, while she was still asleep in the morning. She rolled around and groaned and excitedly exclaimed, "Did you take the garbage out? Love you." It was not garbage day. There was no garbage to take out, and I wasn't even the one who regularly did it, Ilmao. I had to giggle at the excitement in her voice. Story 25. I unfortunately tell complete stories naming people from our daily lives, has been my ex's names a few times too, that come to an end with some sort of swearing and mumbling. Usually my anxiety triggers the entire story or scenario. Kind of sad. Been like this since I was 3, and my cousin hit me in the head with a rock BC. I was on his bike without his permission. My mom told me after I came home with stitches, I started sleep talking and was very scared he was going to hit me again. Story 26. When my partner sleep talks, it's a great game. Because so long as you talk to him in a way that follows his dream logic, he'll happily have a whole conversation with you. But the moment you say something that goes against his dream logic, he gets very mad and says, "What? No," and then stops talking. I enjoy seeing how long I can keep going. My favorite pattern is when he talks about a difficult work problem and I say, "You'll figure it out. You're very clever." And he says, "Yeah, I'm very clever." Because that's not really something he'd say when he was awake. Story 27. I'm the one who sleep talks, but my husband has told me a few gems. I apparently wake him up absolutely frantic that there is a balloon about to get caught in the ceiling fan on occasion. I also wake him up because I'm afraid he's going to roll over on the baby, who is, of course, in his own crib, where he always sleeps. IDK. Baby has never slept with us, but sometimes I get out of bed to start frantically searching for something. When he asks what I'm looking for, I either never answer or give strange answers like, my glasses. I don't wear glasses. Sometimes him asking me wakes me up and it is really disorienting, lol. He's sleeping. Or I'd ask if there are any others I'm not aware of. I never remember saying these things, and only sometimes wake up to find myself out of bed talking to my husband. I feel bad for Hai.